Welcome to the Virtual CISO, where we break down cybersecurity strategy into practical insight. I am your host, Olivia, and you're listening to Season 1, Securely Speaking. In today's episode, we are exploring change management. Yes, let's talk about securing change without chaos. Change is constant in technology, but uncontrolled change, that's where the risk creeps in. Let's talk about how to manage change securely, efficiently, without disrupting your business. So, why does change management matter? Change is necessary. You have updates, patches, new features, infrastructure improvements. But every change introduces potential for disruption or new vulnerabilities, if not planned properly. Here's the reality. Unmanaged changes can cause outages to your production environment. It can cause security gaps and compliance issues. Unauthorized changes can signal insider threat or poor governance. Effective change management will ensure three things. First, changes are approved, documented, and tested. Secondly, risks are assessed before the changes go live. Third, stakeholders are informed or prepared. Now, let's move on to the elements of secure change management. The key elements of a solid change management process are: number 1, change request and documentation. This means that you ensure that you log every change in a change management system with the right level of detail. Such detail will include who is making the change, what change is being made, why is the change being made, when will the change be deployed, and what impact will the change have. Next, we have impact and risk assessment. This is where you ask the question, what systems or users are going to be affected by the change? What potential security or compliance risk could arise as a result of the change? Also, you want to consider the approval process. You want to ensure that you use a change advisory board, a CAB, or designated approvals to approve the change before deploying such change to production. And as part of the approval process, you must ensure segregation of duties, which means you cannot approve your own changes. The request of the change must be different from the approval. In a small organization, a peer review is acceptable, and that can be enforced automatically through Git. Next, you have the testing and validation. This is where you make sure you test your change in staging environments before deployment to production. Also, you want to include rollback plans in case things don't go as planned or things go wrong. Next, you need to consider implementation and monitoring. This is where you ensure that changes are executed during maintenance windows and monitor for unexpected outcome post-deployment. And the last piece, but not the least, is post-change implementation review. Here you want to know if the change went as planned. Also, if there are any lessons learned that you can use to improve your overall change management process. So, to recap, for a solid change management process, you need a change request and documentation. You need to evaluate the impact and risk assessment. You need the approval process, testing and validation, implementation and monitoring, post-change and implementation review. Moving on, we will be discussing security considerations in change management. Change management isn't about uptime, it is about security too. Security-focused change management includes tracking security patches separately for urgency, ensuring access controls are updated with infrastructure changes, as well as logging unauthorized change attempts as potential incidents. Also, watch out for shadow IT. These are the changes that you make outside your established change management process. And make sure that you enforce change control policies across all your environment, including cloud, SaaS, your on-prem platform, and so on. The great thing is automation helps. Tools like infrastructure as code, Terraform, ensure consistent and auditable changes. Also, CI/CD pipelines with approval gates add security to dev workflows. So, how can we balance speed and control? Change management often get a bad rap. You hear people, especially engineering, say, oh, change management slows us down. But here's the truth. Secure, well-managed changes enable faster innovation without breaking things. There are some best practices that you can follow. Number one, use standard change types for routine updates with faster approvals. Implement change window for low impact times. Also, foster a culture of collaboration between IT, security, and business teams. Security doesn't have to be a department of no. It should be the department of how. A change in mindset is what is needed. I have a whole season coming up dedicated to secure development and change management, where we get to dive into the nitty-gritties of these domains. For now, to wrap things up, change is inevitable. However, uncontrolled change is optional. With strong change management, you can reduce risk, improve reliability, and protect your organization from unplanned outages or security breaches. As always, thanks for listening to the Virtual CISO. If this episode sparked ideas on how you can improve your change management process, share with your team and review your change management policy today. On the next episode, we will be discussing vulnerability management, finding the cracks before they break you. Until then, stay secure, stay sharp. I am your host, Olivia. See you soon.